Chapter 1464. It hadn't been easy for them to snatch the mountain C9 phoenixes when Xiao Yao wasn't paying attention. They had wanted to use the 9 phoenixes' abilities to safely and smoothly evolve indefinitely until they became the legendary ultimate evolved beings. How could they let others snatch their hopes away so easily? However, the demoness didn't even turn around. The subordinates she had brought with her instantly drowned the young evolved beings. Mu Yu, where do you plan on taking me? The demoness hadn't said a word along the way, so Lin Yan couldn't help but ask. Mu Yu's eyes gleamed with astonishment when she heard Lin Yan. The demoness stopped in her tracks and glanced at Lin Yan. You've recovered your memory, the demoness told Lin Yan. Lin Yan stared at the demoness, and their eyes met. After some time, Lin Yan asked, Are you really my sister? It seems like you haven't recovered your memory. Let me ask you, how do you know my name? The demoness asked coldly. However, Lin Yan didn't answer. Instead, she sneered coldly. There are so many strange things in this world. I'm actually your sister. Why don't we exchange some information? You tell me everything, and I'll tell you how I know your name. Lin Yan couldn't figure it out. If the woman in front of her was really her sister, why hadn't she acknowledged her? Why had she captured her in the laboratory back then? What was her motive? Who were their parents? How about it, sister? Is this exchange fair? Lin Yan pressed on when the demoness didn't speak. However, Lin Yan hadn't expected the demoness to tighten her grip on her right wrist. The intense pain made Lin Yan break out in a cold sweat. She had no idea what she had said that had angered the demoness. You're not allowed to call me sister. You're not worthy. The demoness' voice was extremely intimidating, like a dormant viper that made one shudder. Sister was a beautiful description. She had once treated her sister as her heart, but what had she gotten in exchange? A nightmarish plot had pulled all her beauty into a bottomless abyss. She had tasted unimaginable pain in the abyss and could never climb out again. Lin Yan didn't say anything. Although the demoness' face was expressionless, Lin Yan could sense the anger in her heart. It was best not to provoke her. Lin Yan was puzzled. If she was really her sister, why would she hate her so much? However, Lin Yan knew that she had lost some important memories. Had she done something wrong to her sister? The demoness led Lin Yan to a laboratory. Mu Yu, what do you want? Lin Yan frowned. Mu Yan, it's time for you to pay me back for what you owe me. The demoness sneered at Lin Yan. Lin Yan was puzzled. Mu Yan, since you admit that we're sisters, why don't you tell me what happened? My memory is incomplete, so I can't remember anything about the Mu family. If I've really let you down in the past, I will bear the responsibility. However, I can't just rely on your words. What about me? Hearing this, the she-devil's lips curled up into a cold smile. Ha, my good mother, and my good sister. Have you forgotten what you did to me? End of chapter. Chapter 1465. Mother? Lin Yan was puzzled. The demoness had to be referring to their biological mother, who was probably from the Mu family. Mu Yu, if you have something to say, just say it. If I remember what happened back then, I won't argue with you, replied Lin Yan. Before the demoness could speak, Lin Yan added, Mu Yu, think about it carefully. The person who hurt you and the person you want to take revenge on has forgotten everything. What's the point of taking revenge then? Lin Yan was certain that the demoness had a deep hatred for her and their mother. She might as well infuriate her. Perhaps she could get some useful information out of her. Otherwise, Lin Yan, who didn't know anything, would be too passive. The demoness pondered Lin Yan's words for a moment. Perhaps she thought that Lin Yan made sense. The person she hated had hurt her true sister, yet she had forgotten how she had hurt her. What was the point of taking revenge then? After some time, the demoness seemed to have made up her mind. She gazed at Lin Yan expressionlessly. You are really my good sister. You can sum up all the sins you have committed by saying that you have forgotten everything. How could you dare forget that you have destroyed my family? Lin Yen was taken aback by Mu Yu's words. What was she talking about? She had destroyed her family? Wasn't she her sister? Wasn't her home her home? Hence, Lin Yen had interpreted Mu Yu's words as though she had harmed herself. You and I are born from the same mother, we look the same, so you want to push all the sins you have committed onto me? Mu Yu shouted coldly. Lin Yen was speechless. She felt as though she was listening to a heavenly book. She didn't refute Mu Yu's claim that they looked the same, but why would she have to bear all the blame? She would be sorry if Mu Yu had meant what she had said. She had no recollection of it at all. Hold on. Are you saying that I have committed a huge crime and that we look alike to push the blame onto you? Lin Yen asked in surprise. Mu Yu scoffed coldly. You're really smart. How could you figure out such a simple logic? That's impossible, Lin Yen replied resolutely. Impossible? Mu Yu glared at Lin Yen. Lin Yen nodded. I'm not that kind of person. There must be a misunderstanding. Even if I've committed a heinous crime and I'm trying to avoid punishment, I won't refute you if you accuse me of harming others. However, harming my own sister and family is impossible. Lin Yen firmly believed that even if she had lost her memories, her personality couldn't be that different. Although she wasn't a kind person, she believed that she wouldn't harm her sister just to avoid punishment. She believed that she wouldn't do it in the past or in the future. You colluded with my mother to kill me. After that, I lost my home, my mother, and my sister. As my sister, you should have a taste of this pain. Mu Yu sneered. If we're really sisters, why can't we talk peacefully? I believe that there must be a misunderstanding. Why don't you tell me everything? If you're right and I'm a vicious person, I'll give my life to you without any complaints, replied Lin Yen. Yun. Yen. Mu, you, I. You. Moot. Yen, End of chapter. Chapter 1466. Lin Yen believed that there had to be a huge misunderstanding. Back then, Sibai had sought revenge on her after Mu Yu had caused him to suffer. Wasn't this also a misunderstanding? If they were really a family, what was there to be unclear about? Mu Yu, what do you want? Asked Lin Yen. You almost caused me to lose my life. I can forgive you, but you made me lose all my loved ones, all the most important people. I will make you lose the love of your life, Mu Yu said. Mu Yu didn't give Lin Yen a chance to speak. Instead, she slapped Lin Yen and knocked her out. Before she lost consciousness, she seemed to have seen herself being put into a container. After some time, the demoness grinned at Lin Yen, who was under her control. Go back and kill them. Cloud Manor, Pei Yucheng, who was dressed in a suit, tapped his fingers on the table as though he was deep in thought. Shao Ji, Mu Yu. Holy Land, Mu family. The notebook on the table had already been filled with some information. Dao Tian. Suddenly, Pei Yucheng muttered to himself. A man who was hidden in a black robe appeared beside Pei Yucheng like a ghost. The face of the man in the black robe could not be seen clearly. He was wearing a large black robe with golden edges. He exuded an extremely cold and gloomy aura, as if he was an evil spirit that had crawled out of purgatory. 7th generation. The black-robed man's voice was hoarse and empty. Pei Yucheng stood up slowly and replied, It's been 10 years. 7th generation, you've been preparing for far too long. 10 years and 4 months, Tao Tian said. To think that Tian Pao would finally see the light of day again. Amnesty was the name of an organization formed by the earliest evolved beings. Pei Yucheng was the 7th generation leader. In the 4th generation of Heavenly Pardon, it almost ruled the entire Evolver's world, but it was destroyed by the Holy Land. For example, the once famous mountains and seas were like mud compared to Heavenly Pardon. The miracle of the first generation, second generation Tian Pai year reign of the third king, the fourth god of mercy, the fifth king of heaven, the sixth amnesia, I destroy the seventh king of heaven. Every generation of heaven's pardon had its own unique style. Pei Yuqing was the seventh generation. More than 10 years ago, Pei Yuqing had become a member of heavenly pardon. After he had ascended to the throne, he had been pardoning 7 generations of heavenly pardon. Seventh generation, how much longer are you going to endure in your insignificant little family? Tao Tian asked. However, Pei Yuqing remained silent. Tao Tian continued, the seventh generation king is a tyrant, but you've endured it all this time. If it weren't for you, the seventh generation king, the mountains and seas would have been wiped out by that terrifying force, and not even the fowls and dogs would have been spared. A measly mountains and seas wouldn't be worth mentioning, but the strength of the 9 phoenixes of the mountains and seas can't be underestimated. Why? Are you afraid of Shanghai? Asked Pei Yuqing. In response, Monstrous laughed coldly. A trifling mountain and sea? I can kill you with a flip of my hand. However, that 9-headed phoenix has some unique abilities. If I could recruit him, he would definitely be of great help to the 7th generation. Otherwise, I might as well just get rid of him. She is my wife. Pei Yuqing chuckled softly. Wife of 7 generations. Although his monstrous expression could not be seen because of the black robe, his tone was very surprised. Obviously, he did not expect that the woman he was most afraid of would actually become the wife of the 7th generation. 7th generation. Then, if the 9 phoenixes of the mountains and seas are your wives. Tao Tian hesitated. End of chapter. Chapter 1467. The mountain sea realm was targeted back then because of the 9 phoenixes' ability. The sacred ground has to get rid of the 9 phoenix. If the 7th generation is ready, the heavenly pardon will appear again. Pei Yuqing's eyes landed on the man's black robe as he said softly, so prepare yourself. It's really unexpected that the 7th generation, as one of the most outstanding and beloved disciples of the Holy Land leader, would have to fight with the sacred ground and become enemies. Another young man sauntered into Pei Yuqing's study. Pei Yuqing didn't say a word as he watched him. I'm heavenly pardon deep sea. Greetings, 7th generation. The young man smiled as he bowed to Pei Yuqing. Deep sea, you used to be a disciple of the sacred ground. You should know how powerful the sacred ground is. Tao Tian glanced at Deep Sea. Deep Sea had also been a disciple of the sacred ground back then. He had left the sacred ground with Pei Yuqing and become a member of the heavenly pardon. The strength of the sacred ground isn't limited to the holy leader. The evolution level of every member of the sacred ground can't be underestimated. The sacred ground has existed for thousands of years, and the holy leader of this generation is undoubtedly the strongest person. No one knows what level of evolution he has reached. When the heavenly pardon reached the 4th generation, it was almost uprooted by the sacred ground. The 7th generation should know this very well. Ever since the 4th generation of the heavenly pardon, the power of the heavenly pardon had been enough to affect the entire world of evolved beings. The sacred ground, which valued balance as everything, naturally wouldn't allow this kind of power. After that, the sacred ground had mobilized most of its power to destroy the heavenly pardon. Pei Yuqing had also been a member of the sacred ground's annihilation team. However, Pei Yuqing didn't agree with the sacred ground's methods. Pei Yuqing and the 6th generation of the heavenly pardon had a good relationship. Although he had been forced to encircle and annihilate the 6th generation of the heavenly pardon, he had ultimately rescued him in time. Pei Yuqing's actions were equivalent to betraying the sacred ground. Ever since then, Pei Yuqing had never returned to the sacred ground. Instead, he had become the 7th generation of the heavenly pardon. Tao Tian, why do you think the 7th generation of the heavenly pardon has been silent all these years? It's to avoid being hunted down by the sacred ground and to conserve energy, the man said. It's because of the 9 phoenixes of the mountain sea. Just like the 7th generation, the nine-headed phoenix was once a member of the Holy Land and was the most beloved disciple of the Holy Land's Lord. However, a man's wealth is his own ruin. The nine-headed phoenix has an extremely special ability that allows evolvers to break through their limits and repair the sequelae of evolvers due to evolution. If this ability is used properly, it is like creating a god. Jiu Feng is the 7th generation leader's wife. If that's the case, there's no need to fear the Holy Land. As long as Jiu Feng is willing to help the 7th generation leader, it won't be long before the 7th generation leader's power surpasses all evolvers. A strange light flashed across Monstrous Sky's eyes. Unfortunately, Jiu Feng has lost her memory. The 7th leader won't force Jiu Feng to remember the past. I understand the 7th leader's intentions. As long as the Holy Land stops, the 7th leader only wants to live a peaceful life with Jiu Feng. Deep Sea grinned at him. Unless the Holy Land can't find the 9 phoenixes of the mountains and seas. However, it hasn't been peaceful recently. Shao Ji has already leaked the information about the 9 phoenixes. I'm afraid that all the evolvers in the world already know about it. It won't be easy to protect the wife of the 7th generation, Tao Tian said lightly. Feng Ji. Deep Sea rubbed his chin and pondered for a moment. I know a little about Feng Ji. He was once a member of the Mountain Sea. He was ambitious and had always wanted to control the entire world of evolved beings. End of this chapter. Chapter 1468. Back then, Shao Ji abandoned his own power and joined the Mountain Sea realm because he wanted to get close to the 9 phoenix. He wanted to use the 9 phoenix's power to repair his body. Fortunately, Shao Ji didn't succeed. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. That's strange. Since Shao Ji had such a motive, why did he leak the information about the 7th generation's wife? He should know the consequences. All evolved beings would do anything to snatch the 7th generation's wife. What good would that do him? Tao Tian looked puzzled. That's interesting. It's a pity that I don't understand Shao Ji. I only know that he is ruthless and has a high level of evolution, said Deep Ocean. In that case. Tao Tian's eyes glinted coldly. 7th generation, why don't we kill Shao Ji first and uproot his power? Pei Yuqing remained silent. Pei Yuqing remained silent. After Tao Tian was done, he replied calmly, there's no need to make enemies. Why? Tao Tian didn't understand. Tao Tian, the biggest threat now isn't Shao Ji, but the sacred ground. No matter how strong Shao Ji is, he is nothing compared to the sacred ground. In a manner, Shao Ji sat in his wheelchair, casually browsing through the information on his computer. Big brother, why did you do this? Do you know the consequences? If you push Sister Yen out like this, she will definitely die. Xiao Zhe bit the apple in his hand as he spat at Shao Ji. Shao Ji was taken aback before he turned off his computer. Big brother, say something. I believe that you have no ill intentions towards Sister Yen. Even if Sister Yen lost her memory and can't help you repair your body, you shouldn't be angry and push her into the sea of fire. Besides, it would be easy for you to kill her, Xiao Zhe added when Shao Ji didn't speak. You think I'm wrong. Shao Ji pushed his wheelchair as he stared at Xiao Zhe. Xiao Zhe nodded vigorously and said hastily, how could that be a mistake? That was a huge mistake. Look, Sister Yen lost her memory and became an ordinary person. She lived an ordinary life. That was great. She didn't have any worries, so, you think that the Holy Lord of the Holy Land is stupid. He didn't have any news about Mu Yen before I did. Instead, he only found out about everything after I leaked the news about Mu Yen, said Shao Ji. Xiao Zhe pondered for a moment before he asked, what do you mean? Isn't that the case? Do you think that the leader of the Holy Land wouldn't be able to see such a video? Shao Ji then threw the phone to Xiao Zhe. The video played a clip of Lin Yan, including the fact that Wang Jingyang was an evolved being. This video was recorded by a little fatty who was jogging at night. It was later posted on the internet, but for some reason, it did not appear on the internet. Instead, it was circulated among the evolved humans. The Mu family has already made a move. Do you think the Holy Land doesn't know? Xiao Ji sneered. This. Xiao Zhe frowned slightly. I'm not doing this to harm Mu Yan. Instead, I'm doing this to protect her life. At the very least, this will bring a lot of resistance to the Lord of the Holy Land. It won't be easy for him to capture Mu Yan, Xiao Ji said. Big brother, are you saying that the leader of the sacred ground knew that Sister Yan wasn't dead and that she had come to the country? You leaked Sister Yan's whereabouts. Before Xiao Zhe could finish, Xiao Ji said, all the evolvers in the world want to borrow Mu Yan's power, and these evolvers will not let the Holy Land Lord take her away so easily. Chapter 1469. Xiao Ji glanced at his legs and replied expressionlessly, everything I do has its own meaning. It didn't matter if she was Lin Yan or Mu Yan. Regardless of whether she was the genius of the Holy Land or the young lady of the Mu family, she had always carried her own mission. This final moment might be the end of her life, or it might be the time for order to shatter and reform. Pei Yucheng, I've underestimated you. After some time, the corners of Xiao Ji's mouth curled up into a faint smile. Pei Yucheng? Xiao Zhe was startled. He glanced at Xiao Ji in confusion and asked, what's wrong with Pei Yucheng? Xiao Ji didn't answer Xiao Zhe's question. He merely glanced at Xiao Zhe and said earnestly, little Zhe. As Xiao Ji's voice fell, Xiao Zhe had a strange look on his face. Ever since he was young, his elder brother had never called him that. For some reason, Xiao Zhe felt that Xiao Ji's words and actions were strange today. Big brother, what's wrong? Asked Xiao Zhe, who was puzzled. Xiao Ji glanced at Xiao Zhe, as though he wanted to say something. However, he didn't. At Cloud Manor, Lin Yan had appeared in the manor. Pei Yucheng instinctively frowned when he saw Lin Yan. Pei Li, on the other hand, was pleasantly surprised. The little fellow immediately ran over to Lin Yan. Pei Yucheng had wanted to stop Pei Li, but Pei Li was too fast. In the blink of an eye, he had reached Lin Yan. Lin Yan was in a daze as she stared at Pei Li. A second later, a dagger appeared in Lin Yan's hand and stabbed at Pei Li's neck. There was a pft sound. The dagger had pierced Pei Li's neck. Pei Li's eyes widened in disbelief, and his pupils constricted. Pei Qian, who was following behind, was also stunned. Mommy, before Lin Yan could do anything, Pei Yucheng's left eye moved slightly and was restrained by his mental power. He couldn't move anymore. Why? Mommy is doing this to me. Mommy wants to kill me too. Pei Li took a step back and used his fingers to break the dagger that had pierced his neck. He then pulled it out. What was unbelievable was that the wound on Pei Li's neck rapidly healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was as if that fatal stab had not caused any harm to Pei Li at all. Pei Yucheng didn't seem surprised by Pei Li's abilities as he studied his son. He seemed to be used to it. Pei Li had an indestructible body. No physical attack could harm Pei Li. In fact, Pei Li was immune to most mental attacks. If Pei Li was given enough time to grow, his path of evolution would be limitless. As Pei Li's father, he naturally knew how capable he was. Most of this power had probably come from Lin Yan's genetic heritage. However, Pei Yucheng wasn't in the mood to think about Pei Li's evolved ability. He could even sense that Pei Li was gradually losing control of his emotions. Although Pei Li's ability could be said to be unparalleled, he had a fatal flaw since he was young, and it was easy for him to lose control. After Pei Li lost control of his emotions, his body would no longer be under his control. Coupled with Pei Li's terrifying evolution ability, it would be a terrifying disaster. Otherwise, Pei Li wouldn't have the title of Great Devil. Everyone wants to kill me. Even Mommy wants me to die. At that moment, Pei Yucheng saw Pei Li's face gradually contort. A terrifying smile that didn't match his age hung on his lips. He had completely fallen into a state of madness. Chapter 1470. Pei Yuqing had never seen Pei Li in such a crazy state. When Pei Li had been in the Pei Corporation, he had only lost control of his emotions. Pei Li seemed to have suffered a huge blow and had almost completely lost his mind. The terrifying pressure of evolution soared into the sky, and a visible hurricane formed around Pei Li. In an instant, more than half of Cloud Manor was destroyed. Lin Yan stood on the spot in a daze like a zombie. Kill. Pei Li glared at Lin Yan like an enraged beast. However, no matter how angry Pei Li was, he didn't attack Lin Yan. Even so, Lin Yan couldn't withstand the pressure of Pei Li's evolution. Her body was like a lonely boat in the vast ocean. Shaoli, suddenly, Pei Yuqing's voice seemed to have a magical power that poured into Pei Li's ears. Pei Yuqing's mental power immediately entered Pei Li's inner world. Pei Yuqing was moved by Pei Li's inner world. The originally beautiful scene shattered like a mirror. Soon, Pei Li's world was filled with violent winds and torrential rain. The surroundings were in ruins. The little fellow was naked as he squatted in the torrential rain, allowing the harsh environment to ravage him. Pei Yuqing couldn't describe his feelings as he watched Pei Li's body tremble violently. Pei Yuqing could feel the helplessness and despair of this world. He didn't dare imagine how Pei Li's inner world could be so desperate. This kind of heart was so cruel. Pei Li's past also appeared in this inner world. He had been born without a mother, and his father was often not by his side. When he had been in the Pei Corporation, he had been bullied, and everyone had wanted to stay away from him. Even though Pei Li had lowered his stance and abandoned his dignity, he couldn't blend in. Loneliness and helplessness had long filled his heart. Finally, he had lost control for the first time in the Pei family and displayed his unparalleled and terrifying power. He had been severely punished and locked up in a small dark room for several months. The people of the clan had become increasingly disgusted and cold towards him. He had missed his mother, but he had never seen her. He had missed his father, but his father had been extremely strict. Helplessness and loneliness had turned into fear and despair at that moment. Pei Yuqing watched Pei Li, who was shivering in the rain, with mixed feelings. But today, Pei Li's most beloved mother actually wanted to kill him. Pei Yuqing could feel the despair in Pei Li's heart. He even felt a little suffocated. Pei Yuqing couldn't imagine that Pei Li had been enduring this indescribable pain for a long time. Lin Yan's abnormality today was like a fuse that caused Pei Li's inner world to crumble. He could endure everything in the past, but he could not accept the fact that his beloved mother wanted to kill him with her own hands. While Pei Yuqing was in a daze, the helpless and pitiful little boy, who had been shivering in the storm, started to transform. His face became more and more hideous, as though an ancient beast was about to be born. Pei Yuqing knew that this was a sign that Pei Li's inner world was about to collapse. Once the Pei Li in his inner world turned into a beast, the Pei Li in reality would disappear forever. He would become an inhumane demon and he would never be able to return. A second later, Pei Yuqing appeared beside Pei Li and stroked his hair gently. End of chapter. Chapter 1471. Pei Li, who sensed something amiss, raised his head slowly and surveyed the man who had barged into his heart. Pei Yuqing bent down and pulled Pei Li into his arms. Then, he lifted him up. Mommy was controlled. Pei Yuqing gazed at the confused Pei Li as he spoke softly. At that moment, Pei Yuqing was the most gentle father in the world. He had given all his gentleness to Pei Li. Pei Li gradually stopped struggling in Pei Yuqing's arms. He looked aggrieved. I've been wrong all these years. I only wanted to protect you and your mother, but I neglected your feelings. I was too self-centered, Pei Yuqing said softly. Pei Yuqing and Pei Li were like an ordinary father and son now. Mommy was controlled. She loves you so much, so how could she kill you? She would rather die than hurt you. Pei Yuqing replied. After a long time, Pei Yuqing opened his eyes again in Cloud Manor. Pei Li had gradually regained his composure. Instinctively, Pei Li glanced at Pei Yucheng and turned his head away indignantly. Dad. Pei Yucheng, what happened to Mommy? Pei Li asked Pei Yucheng. Pei Yucheng didn't mind that Pei Li had called him by his name. Isn't it obvious enough? The father-son duo, who had been extremely warm and fuzzy in their hearts, had become like this when they returned to reality. Pei Qian clenched his fists. Although he was a little reluctant, he still said, "Brother, are you a fool? How could Mommy hurt you? Mommy loves you so much. Mommy loves you the most." Pei Yucheng had used his mental power to destroy the mind control in Lin Yan's body. Before long, Lin Yan's eyes regained their clarity. Wretched demoness. Lin Yan cursed loudly, her consciousness still lingering on the moment when she had been brought into the laboratory. However, when she saw Pei Li and Pei Yucheng beside her, she was startled. When Lin Yan opened her eyes, she instinctively surveyed her surroundings. "Mommy, are you all right?" Pei Qian gazed at Lin Yan with a worried expression on his face. That damned demoness. Lin Yan gritted her teeth. Was Muyu really her biological sister? How could she be so vicious? Pei Yucheng fell into deep thought when he heard Lin Yan. However, he didn't say anything. "Sister." Pei Li peered at Lin Yan timidly. "Baby, did I hurt you?" When she saw Pei Li, she scrambled to her feet and hugged him. Seeing this, Pei Qian glanced at Pei Li with a sour expression. "Sister, I'm fine," Pei Li said. "It's all my fault." Lin Yan stroked Pei Li's head. Although she had been under the control of the demoness, Muyu, and couldn't remember what had happened, she had an impression that she had attacked Pei Li. Lin Yan's heart was filled with questions. Why would Muyu control her to harm an innocent child? She couldn't explain it at all. "Mommy, it's fine. Brother Xiaoli isn't hurt," Pei Qian assured Lin Yan. Lin Yan sighed, feeling as though she had just survived a calamity. If she had really hurt Pei Li, she would never forgive herself, even if she had been controlled by the demoness. End of this chapter. Chapter 1472. Let's go out and play. Pei Yucheng glanced at Pei Li and Pei Qian. It was obvious that he wanted to speak to Lin Yan alone. However, Pei Yucheng's words seemed to have been automatically filtered out by the two devils. No one even bothered to look at him. Pei Li asked, "Sister, what happened? Are you hurt?" Pei Qian asked, "Mommy, are you all right? Do you feel unwell? Do you need to go to the hospital?" Pei Yucheng was speechless. "I'm fine. As long as you guys are fine." Lin Yan grinned. Pei Yucheng pinched his temples helplessly before he said solemnly, "Get out." Pei Li asked, "Sister, did you meet a bad guy?" Pei Qian asked, "Mommy, who bullied you? Tell me. I will avenge Mommy." Pei Yucheng was speechless. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Qian and Pei Li. "Be good, babies. Let's go out and play." Pei Li replied, "Okay." Pei Qian replied, "Yeah, I wanted to go out with Brother Xiaoli." Pei Qian and Pei Li left obediently. Before they left, they glared at the person who had chased them away. After Pei Qian and Pei Li left, Lin Yan glared at Pei Yucheng. "Why were you so fierce to two kids?" Pei Yucheng raised his eyebrows at Lin Yan. He seemed to be the one who had been scolded. Pei Yucheng gazed at Lin Yan and nodded. "Okay, I will be gentler next time," but Pei Yucheng paused and held the girl's hand. "But you were fierce to me too." The man's voice was low and hoarse. His eyes behind the glasses were like ice water that melted under the warm sun in winter, making one's heart flutter. Lin Yan was in a daze. "Ah. Was I fierce? What do you think?" The man narrowed his eyes. Although Lin Yan didn't think that she had been fierce, she couldn't stand his gaze. Ahem. Then. I will pay attention next time. Pei Yucheng was obviously unhappy with her answer. He bit the girl's finger gently and said, Call me hubby and I will forgive you." Lin Yen was speechless. Lin Yen was so shocked that her hair stood on end. "Why are you here again?" She remembered that the first time Pei Yuqing had asked her to call him hubby had been when she had been possessed by him during a live broadcast. At the time, Ji Mingzhi had suddenly appeared in the live stream room to send gifts, and fans had been gossiping about her relationship with Ji Mingzhi. Pei Yuqing had been so enraged that he had almost exposed her relationship with Pei Yuqing. Back then, Lin Yen had begged and begged, but Pei Yuqing had asked her to call him hubby in exchange for a promise. Although she had started to address him by his full name and even addressed him as darling, it was still difficult for her to call him hubby. She had always been a straight man, but it was still difficult for her to call him hubby. Too mushy. Lin Yen shook her head vigorously. No, no. Too mushy. Change to something else. Pei Yuqing could tell that Lin Yen wasn't used to it, so he didn't force her. Instead, his eyes dimmed. Tell me. What happened? Did you meet someone? Asked Pei Yuqing. Lin Yen was startled for a moment before she snapped back to her senses. It's a long story. I'm afraid you won't believe me. Do you know that demoness? Pei Yuqing fell into deep thought as he studied Lin Yan's mysterious expression. Naturally, Pei Yuqing knew who the demoness Lin Yan was talking about was. After Heaven's Pardon's reappearance, Pei Yuqing had learned more about her. The demoness Lin Yan was referring to should be the eldest daughter of the Mu family, Mu Yu. Chapter 1473. Although Pei Yuqing had stayed with the Mu family for a period of time, he hadn't known that the Mu family had a sister who looked exactly like Lin Yan. Some time ago, Mu Yu had pretended to be Lin Yan and ambushed him. Pei Yuqing had thought it was strange, but he hadn't recognized Mu Yu. Pei Yuqing had gotten some information about Mu Yu from Amnesty's intelligence agency, but it wasn't complete. Mu Yu was the eldest daughter of the Mu family, and she was Lin Yan's twin. Unlike Lin Yan, Mu Yu was a postnatal evolved being. However, even so, Mu Yu had displayed a terrifying talent for evolution. When she was only 6 or 7 years old, she had been able to defeat some powerful Khanate evolved beings of the Mu family without suffering any injuries. After that incident, Mu Yu had disappeared. A few years later, an extremely mysterious evolutionary organization had appeared in the world of evolved beings. They had used experimental technology to nurture the first generation of perfect evolved beings, the second generation of perfect evolved beings, and the subsequent generations of perfect evolved beings. Take Si Bai as an example. He was the first generation of perfect evolvers for his experimental methods. The leader of this evolutionary organization that mainly used experimental methods was known as the She-Devil to the outside world. No one knew the purpose of this organization's existence, and no one knew why the demoness had nurtured so many generations of perfect evolved beings. Even Pei Yuqing's Amnesty Intelligence Department couldn't find out. However, the Amnesty Intelligence Department had figured out one thing. The leader of this organization was the eldest daughter of the Mu family, Mu Yu. Pei Yuqing didn't know what was going on. The demoness and Mu Yu were the same person, who was Lin Yan's sister. Why had she appeared in the Pei family and pretended to be Lin Yan to assassinate him? Why had she used her mental strength and experimental methods to control Lin Yan's mind and make Lin Yan return to kill his family? 7th generation. Just as Pei Yuqing was deep in thought, a gentlemanly young man in a suit and leather shoes had melted into the wall. His body was like water as he seeped out of the wall beside Pei Yuqing and Lin Yan. Lin Yan jumped in fright when she saw this. She was dumbfounded. How could someone pass through the wall? It was the wall-passing technique. Lin Yan couldn't help but sigh. Evolved beings were really magical. However, as an evolved being, why couldn't a delicate girl like her be given some magical and special evolutionary powers? What invisibility technique, Midas touch, treasure technique, 10,000 strings technique? She could barely accept all of these, so why did she have to use brute force? She was obviously a good material to be a great magician, but fate made a fool of her and made her become a tank. If it was a tank, then so be it. But it wasn't a tank that could take a beating. Lin Yen snapped out of her daze. What did he mean by 7th generation? Nice to meet you, wife of the 7th generation. Hello, Madam Pardon. The man bowed at Lin Yen politely. Lin Yen was dumbfounded. She had no idea what was going on. Next time, knock on the door. Pei Yuqing glanced at the man expressionlessly. 7th generation, I'm sorry. The boss of the intelligence department has been in this position for a long time. I almost never use the front door. This is a habit. I will definitely change next time. I hope you can forgive me. The man nodded. As the boss of the intelligence department, some highly confidential information couldn't be obtained by knocking on the door. He had to use some tricks. Could it be that he would openly appear in front of a certain evolutionary clan that he needed to steal information from, knock on the door arrogantly, and say, "Come, hurry up and give me the information"? Pei Yuqing replied calmly, "The person in charge of the intelligence department should be Tao Tian." The young man's expression changed when he heard Pei Yuqing. He hurriedly said, "7th generation, I don't agree with you." So what if he's the second in command? If he were promoted, wouldn't he be the first in command? What's wrong with Tao Tian? He's older than me, but he's better than me. Besides, he's old, and I'm still young. Even if he doesn't retire, I can make him die. When the time comes, I'll be the first in command. Since I'll be the first in command sooner or later, why can't I use my authority in advance? Pei Yuqing was speechless. Lin Yen was speechless. Although Lin Yen didn't know who this man was, his shamelessness was unparalleled. It was rare to find someone who could spout nonsense so boldly and confidently. End of the chapter. Chapter 1474. The man glanced at Lin Yen. Allow me to introduce myself to the young and beautiful mistress of Pardon Heaven. The man ignored Pei Yuqing and turned to Lin Yen instead. He cleared his throat and said politely, "Hello, Mistress of Pardon Heaven. I'm the leader of Pardon Heaven's intelligence department. I'm also the boss. My name is Go Dong. If you don't mind, you can call me Little Go." "Oh yeah, I was the one who built Pardon Heaven's intelligence network. It contains information about all the evolved beings in the world, as well as some very rare confidential documents. I hope that mistress can take care of me. As the leader of Pardon Heaven's intelligence network, I can provide you with the greatest convenience." Huh? Lin Yen studied the man before her. Pei Yuqing didn't say anything, so she didn't retort. However, she didn't know what his motive was. She instinctively asked, "What convenience?" "I can help you keep an eye on the 7th generation leader, who is also your partner, Mr. Pei Yuqing. Other than Pardon Heaven's intelligence department, no other intelligence department can do this. Mistress, please believe me. As long as you take care of me, I will definitely inform you immediately if the 7th generation leader flirts with other women in the future." Go Dong said anxiously. Without any hesitation, Lin Yen nodded immediately. "Old Go, deal." "Mistress, if you don't mind, you can call me Little Go." Pei Yuqing was speechless. Perhaps the second in command of the intelligence department should be replaced by a normal person. If Go Dong's intelligence network hadn't been excellent, he would have made him disappear from Pardon Heaven. "7th generation leader, I'm doing this to protect your relationship with mistress. You won't blame me, right?" Go Dong asked. Pei Yuqing stared at Go Dong and replied expressionlessly, "Official business." At the mention of official business, Go Dong's frivolous expression disappeared immediately. He said solemnly, "7th generation leader, I have 2 things to report. Firstly, I've obtained the information you needed. I've already sorted it out." Go Dong handed a stack of documents to Pei Yuqing. "The second matter is that someone snuck into the intelligence department in the middle of the night. When he was discovered, he was stealing confidential documents. This person was tortured, but he still couldn't obtain any useful information, so I've already brought him here," Go Dong continued. As soon as Go Dong finished speaking, Xing Chen walked in with a man who was on the verge of death. I'm innocent, I'm just an ordinary thief. I really don't have any bad intentions. The man cried as soon as he entered the door. Lin Yen studied the man in astonishment. He was a thief who had no ill intentions. Lin Yan's eyes trailed to the man as she frowned. He looked rather familiar, as though she had seen him somewhere before. The man, who seemed to sense Lin Yan's gaze, instinctively sized her up. Lin Yan's eyes met the man's. After a few seconds, both of them froze. Big sister. The man stared at Lin Yan excitedly. Your name is Wu. Lin Yan fell into deep thought. He looked familiar. Wu Yu, I'm Wu Yu, big sis. Have you forgotten me? We're sisters who have gone through thick and thin together. Ah no, we're brother and sister. Wu Yu hurriedly said. Wu Yu gritted his teeth when he saw that Lin Yan was still puzzled. Sister Yan, have you forgotten? Back in the prison, we treated each other with sincerity and risked our lives for each other. I'm the legendary thief, Wu Yu. Wu Yu, prison. Lin Yan fell into deep thought. End of this chapter. Chapter 1475. Sister Yan, we can't be like this. Have you forgotten that I was the one who brought you out of prison? When I came out, I was penniless. I even borrowed 2,000 yuan from you to buy a phone. Wu Yu whimpered miserably. Lin Yan straightened her back and gazed at Wu Yu with sparkling eyes. Wu Yu, I remember now. You owe me 20,000 yuan. Huh? Wu Yu didn't react in time. Wasn't it 2,000 yuan? You said it yourself. I'll pay you back tenfold, replied Lin Yan. Wu Yu was speechless, Go Dong was speechless, Xing Chen was speechless, Pei Yuqing was speechless. Did I say that? No, that's not important. Sister Yan, are you familiar with them? Save me and help me explain. Wu Yu whimpered. Mistress, are you his friend? Go Dong glanced at Lin Yan in surprise. Lin Yan shook her head. I'm not his friend. I'm his creditor. Mistress, this person snuck into the intelligence department and was discovered stealing some confidential documents, explained Go Dong. Mistress? Wu Yu stared at Lin Yan in shock. Sister, you're the mistress of Amnesty, the wife of the 7th generation leader? As soon as he said that, everyone's eyes fell on Wu Yu. Although Lin Yan didn't know what Amnesty was, she wasn't stupid. She had heard about it from Pei Yuqing and the others. Amnesty was an evolved organization, and Pei Yuqing was the 7th generation leader of the organization. The intelligence department was half the heart of the organization. Wu Yu had said that he was a thief, so how had he known that he was from Amnesty's intelligence department? He had obviously come prepared. Lin Yan glanced at Wu Yu. Wu Yu, confess and I'll be lenient. I can only help you if you tell me the truth. Sister, I'm really innocent. Wu Yu said anxiously. However, Wu Yu could only sigh when he saw Lin Yan's incredulous expression. Sister, I can't say. If I say it, I might die. Lin Yan was speechless. It was as though he wouldn't die if he didn't say anything. All the more reason for you to say it. Lin Yan frowned. If you don't say it, they will definitely beat you to death. Lin Yan pointed at Xing Chen. This kid only eats adults. Xing Chen the adult eater. He is even scarier. He is a homicidal maniac. Lin Yan pointed at Pei Yuqing. Pei Yuqing was speechless. This. Lin Yan glanced at Go Dong. Go Dong's face was filled with anticipation. Wu Yu, hurry up and tell me. I can only help you if you tell me. If you don't, I can't help you, replied Lin Yan. The expectant Go Dong. Sister Yan, you're my biological sister. I really can't tell you. I was ordered by someone. On account of our friendship, please ask them to let me go. Wu Yu gazed at Lin Yan. Lin Yan sighed helplessly. I'm not in charge. I can't make decisions. Sister, He said that you're the mistress of Tianjie. Don't lie to me. You must be the mistress. I was ordered by someone. Besides, I didn't know that you were from Tianjie. If I had known, would never have betrayed you, no matter how much money you offered me. Wu Yu exclaimed agitatedly. Sister Yan, you're the mistress of Tianjie. Mistress, don't talk nonsense with him. This person doesn't know what's good for him and doesn't know how to appreciate kindness. Just feed him to the dogs. Go Dong said coldly. Lin Yan turned to Xing Chen. Xing Chen, who likes to eat adults, good night, the update is over, smooches, end of chapter. Chapter 1476. Sister, you can't do this to me. I would rather be fed to a dog than be eaten by him. Wu Yu looked aggrieved. Then feed me to a dog. Lin Yan sighed heavily. Huh? Wu Yu was terrified. Sister, I was the one who saved you. Lin Yan, who was startled, glanced at Wu Yu in confusion. I should be the one who saved you. Without me, would you have been able to get out of the prison? Sister, without me, you wouldn't have been able to get out, replied Wu Yu. Lin Yan nodded. That's right. We are working together. You didn't save me. Wu Yu, you don't have to say this. As long as you tell me who the mastermind is, I will definitely help you. However, if you refuse to tell me, I won't be able to help you. Are you going to tell me or not? My patience is limited. Go Dong's face darkened. Alright, I'll tell you. However, I'm not saying it because I'm afraid of you. It's because of my relationship with you. Wu Yu glanced at Lin Yan. Sister, it's Master Qin, Master Qin. Lin Yan and the others were startled by Wu Yu's words. Who was this Master Qin that Wu Yu was talking about? Is Master Qin's surname Qin? Lin Yan asked curiously. Wu Yu shook his head. No, Master Qin is what I call him. His surname is Qin, but he doesn't call me master. Xing Chen, eat him. Lin Yan waved at Xing Chen. Xing Chen replied, he looks greasy. Master Qin is Qin Huan. Wu Yu replied. Qin Huan? Everyone was stunned. Only Pei Yuqing seemed to be deep in thought. Qin Huan? How is that possible? Xing Chen looked astonished and incredulous. Xing Chen and Qin Huan were close friends. They had been by Pei Yuqing's side for many years and were like brothers. Xing Chen couldn't accept the fact that Qin Huan had betrayed him. After such a long time, there had been no news of Qin Huan. He had never imagined that Qin Huan would have instructed this guy to infiltrate Amnesty's intelligence department to steal information. What was Qin Huan's motive? Who was behind him? However, Xing Chen also had some doubts in his heart. Was the Qin Huan that Wu Yu mentioned the same Qin Huan that he knew? Could it be someone with the same name? I have an idea. Lin Yan suddenly said, Wu Yu, contact Qin Huan and tell him that you have obtained the information. Arrange a time for you to meet. Go Dong, who was startled by Lin Yan's words, hurriedly gave her a thumbs up. Mistress, you're really beautiful and wise. How could you think of such a good idea? With your wisdom, we will definitely be able to recover to our peak. Lin Yan was speechless. Go Dong said, the position of the head of the intelligence department will depend on you, mistress. Lin Yan was speechless. Wu Yu had no choice but to contact Qin Huan. However, Qin Huan seemed to be very cautious. He only asked Wu Yu to transmit the information he had obtained to him via the internet. Naturally, Wu Yu could not provide any useful information, so he could only stall for time. Half an hour later, Xing Chen and Ling Yu arrived. Ling Yu was holding a laptop. When she saw Pei Yuqing, she said, the target's location has been confirmed. Pei Yuqing instructed Xing Chen, Go Dong, and the others to find Wu Yu and bring him back. Lin Yan had wanted to follow them, but Pei Yuqing stopped her. He told her to rest at home and not to leave. End of this chapter. Chapter 1477. After Go Dong and the others left, Pei Yucheng fell into deep thought as he studied the report Go Dong had given him. He studied Lin Yan from time to time. What's wrong? Lin Yan was puzzled when she saw that something was amiss with Pei Yucheng's expression. You said that the girl called Mu Yu is your sister, Pei Yucheng said to Lin Yan. Lin Yan nodded. I think so. Pei Yucheng remained silent after hearing Lin Yan's answer. The document that Go Dong had given him recorded Lin Yan's true identity and background. Pei Yucheng didn't doubt Go Dong's ability to gather intelligence. The authenticity of this document was extremely high. Pei Yucheng naturally understood Lin Yan very well. Not only did he know her now, but he also knew her past. Lin Yan's original name was Mu Yan, and she was the pride of the Mu family. Due to certain circumstances, her life had changed drastically. After leaving the Mu family, Lin Yan had made some like-minded friends and established the Mountain Sea clan. This should have been an exciting life, but due to certain reasons, the Mountain Sea clan had been destroyed. Lin Yan, who couldn't accept reality, had activated her evolved ability to help her erase all her negative memories. After losing her memories, Lin Yan had been brought to the country by Wang Jingyang and become He Muyan's child. Pei Yucheng had investigated He Muyan's matter. He Muyan was a Chinese person and an evolved being. After becoming an evolved being, He Muyan had left the country and coincidentally become a guard of the Mu family. She had been taking care of Mu Yan. Back then, He Muyan and Lin Yuatong had been a couple. Due to certain reasons, He Muyan had broken up with Lin Yuatong. After He Muyan had become an evolved being, she had left the country and become a guard of the Mu family. A few years later, He Muyan had left the Mu family and returned to the country. She had lost her ability to evolve. The Mountain Sea Heavenly Hound had brought Lin Yan, who had lost her memories, to the country. She had found He Muyan and acknowledged Mu Yan as her daughter. She had asked He Muyan to think of a way to give Mu Yan a new identity. After that, He Muyan had found Lin Yuatong again and told him that she had been pregnant with his daughter when they had separated. She had named her Lin Yan. Now that his daughter was old enough to go to school, he hoped that Lin Yuatong could give them an identity and fulfill his duty as a father. Lin Yuatong knew He Muyan's character very well, so he had never doubted her. He had never thought that she would lie from the start. To Lin Yuatong, it was a wedding because he had a son. Not long after their marriage, they had their second child, Lin Shuya. Hence, Lin Yan had nothing to do with the Lin family. Pei Yucheng had known all of this from the beginning. However, the latest news that Go Dong had brought him today had overturned his understanding of the world. Lin Yan wasn't a member of the Lin family. She wasn't even the daughter of the Mu family. Moreover, Mu Yan did not believe that her surname was Mu. Her surname was Shang. The Shang family was a surname of an ancient evolver that had existed for countless eras. Since ancient times, they had always stood at the top of the evolver clans. They belonged to the top-tier evolver super clans. The current head of the family was Shang Yuan. It was said that Shang Yuan was a postnatal evolved being. His ability to evolve wasn't worth mentioning, but he had mastered terrifying experimental manufacturing techniques. Strictly speaking, Shang Yuan controlled the lifeline of the evolved being world. End of this chapter. Chapter 1478. Given Shang Yuan's experimental skills, he could create countless perfect evolved beings. For example, Mu Yu, the demoness that Lin Yan had mentioned, had similar experimental skills. However, her standards couldn't be compared to Shang Yuan's. Besides, Shang Yuan had many adopted children. Most of them had been adopted by Shang Yuan since they were young. For example, the eldest, Shang Yu, the fourth, Shang Hui, and the fifth, Shang Beiyue, were all top-notch evolved beings in the world of evolved beings. They possessed extremely powerful evolved beings. Pei Yucheng's face was expressionless, but his heart was in turmoil. After pondering for a moment, he had roughly pieced all the information together. Lin Yan was Shang Yuan's child. After Lin Yan was born, perhaps because he wanted his daughter to become the king of evolved beings, Shang Yuan had used experimental methods on Lin Yan. This had allowed Lin Yan, who had been a child, to possess evolutionary power that was beyond ordinary people's understanding. For example, evolved beings who had suffered serious injuries due to evolution would show signs of recovery as soon as they got close to Lin Yan. In other words, as long as they obtained Lin Yan, they would be able to break through their bottleneck and evolve endlessly. In the end, they would become a true god with absolute power. It was also because of Lin Yan's ability that some elders of the Shang clan had used all sorts of methods to make Lin Yan their own. Not long after, it was also because of this that the Shang clan split, and Shang Yuan and his adopted children used extremely ruthless methods to suppress the situation. Although they had stabilized the situation, Shang Yuan had realized that an innocent man would get into trouble because of his wealth. For the sake of his daughter's safety, Shang Yuan had eventually sent Lin Yan to the Mu family and made the matriarch of the Mu family acknowledge Lin Yan as her daughter. At that time, the Mu family had belonged to the Shang clan, so they naturally wouldn't disobey. Two people, Pei Yuqing looked at the confidential information in his hands, deep in thought. Back then, Shang Yuan hadn't given Lin Yan to the Mu family alone. He had given two young girls. One of them was Lin Yan, and the other was the demoness, Mu Yu. The two of them looked exactly the same, there was not the slightest difference. Go Dong's information only reached this point. Even Pei Yuqing didn't know the origin of the demoness, Mu Yu. If the two of them weren't twins, why did they look exactly the same? Pei Yuqing instinctively sized Lin Yan up. Lin Yan was holding a notebook in her hands. Just like Pei Yuqing, she was studying it carefully. "What are you looking at?" Pei Yuqing asked. Lin Yan fell silent for a few seconds before she said, "The first line of this notebook is that I've regained my memory, but I'm about to lose it again. Therefore, I've written down some useful information. I hope that I can obtain some useful information after I lose my memory." Pei Yuqing frowned when he heard Lin Yan. "This handwriting is indeed mine," Lin Yan muttered to herself. Pei Yuqing was speechless. "Just now, I felt like I had forgotten something. I seemed to remember that I had written a note. It felt like a dream, but I didn't expect it to be real." Pei Yuqing was speechless. She closed the notebook and stared at him. "So, yeah." Pei Yuqing had no choice but to admit it. "Whose prank is this?" Lin Yan looked puzzled. Pei Yuqing, who was startled, walked over to Lin Yan. "Can I take a look?" "Sure." Lin Yan passed the notebook to him. Pei Yuqing flipped open the notebook and studied it for a long time. "It's all true. It's all true. Everything written here is true. You weren't dreaming, and this has nothing to do with a prank," replied Pei Yuqing. Lin Yan shuddered when she heard Pei Yuqing. This was unbelievable, yet it was all true. "I'm really not He Muyun's biological daughter. I'm the young mistress of the Mu family, the leader of Mountain Sea." End of this chapter. Chapter 1479. Somewhere in the manor, Wang Jingyang studied the man before him thoughtfully. "I've always believed that Pei Yuqing had something to do with the destruction of the Mountain Sea realm." The man fell silent. "Azure Dragon, I really don't understand why you stayed in the Hunters Guild's prison for so many years. Given your abilities, you shouldn't have been caught." After a while, the man called Azure Dragon seemed to have recovered from his memories and looked at Wang Jingyang. Wang Jingyang was right. Given his abilities, he naturally wouldn't have been caught by the Hunters Guild. The reason he had stayed there all these years was to atone for his sins. "I got it." Suddenly, Wang Jingyang seemed to recall something as he grinned at Azure Dragon. "The current genius president of the Hunters Guild is, to a certain extent, Lin Noa's younger brother. Did you not retaliate because you were captured by Lin Noa?" Azure Dragon stared at Wang Jingyang for a long time before he said, Go, call your subordinate, Qin Huan, back." As Qin Long's words faded, Wang Jingyang was slightly stunned. He asked in a puzzled manner, "What do you mean?" He had asked Qin Huan to find a way to obtain some confidential information from Amnesty's information department. This information was divided into two parts. The first part was to understand some special information about the Holy Land, and the second part was to find out the truth about the destruction of the Mountain Sea realm. He wanted to know if Pei Yuqing had betrayed Amnesty. Although Wang Jingyang knew that Pei Yuqing had become the seventh generation of Amnesty, the information from back then might have been preserved. After a long time, Azure Dragon seemed to have made up his mind. He stared at Wang Jingyang and said solemnly, "Ah, go, you know that the Hunters Guild's prison can't trap me. After so many years, I haven't come out. Instead, I came out this time. Do you want to know why?" Wang Jingyang was startled. This was indeed what Wang Jingyang had been wondering about. In fact, Wang Jingyang had once believed that Azure Dragon had died on the battlefield. Why? Wang Jingyang asked curiously. "Just like I said before, I entered the prison for my sins. This time, I came out hoping to atone for them," Azure Dragon said expressionlessly. "Can't you speak like a human being?" Wang Jingyang was confused. Wang Jingyang had no idea what the Azure Dragon was saying, or what he was trying to express. "Pei Yuqing is innocent. Pei Yuqing didn't leak our whereabouts. Someone else did. Although Pei Yuqing is the biggest suspect, unfortunately," Azure Dragon said. Wang Jingyang stared at Azure Dragon for a long time before he said, "Why are you so sure?" "Since you're so sure that Pei Yuqing is innocent, who leaked the whereabouts of Mountain Sea back then, including the information that Jiu Feng is Mu Yan of the Mu family, only the members of the Mountain Sea sect and Pei Yuqing knew Jiu Feng's true identity. If it hadn't been Pei Yuqing, it could only have been someone from the Mountain Sea sect who had leaked it. However, everyone had died except for him and Jiu Feng." At this point, Wang Jingyang could not help but size up the Azure Dragon. No, apart from him and Jiu Feng, there was also this man. "It's me." The green dragon retracted his gaze and looked at Wang Jingyang. Wang Jingyang, who had some guesses, couldn't help but tremble when he heard Azure Dragon. He knew that he hadn't heard wrongly. Azure Dragon had said that he had done it, but Wang Jingyang still couldn't believe it. He couldn't even accept it. Good night. The update is over, end of this chapter. Chapter 1480. This was even more shocking than when he had found out that Pei Yuqing had betrayed them. It was even more unbelievable. "Ah, go, I did it." Azure Dragon's eyes were filled with a complicated expression. Azure Dragon originally wanted to say something, but Wang Jingyang, who was beside him, threw a punch at Azure Dragon without any warning. However, Azure Dragon dodged Wang Jingyang's attack instantly. "Ah, go, let me tell you a story," Azure Dragon told Wang Jingyang. Bullsh *T. Wang Jingyang, who was in a state of rage, immediately rushed towards Azure Dragon. However, no matter what Wang Jingyang did, Azure Dragon didn't fight back. He only dodged and began his story. Many years ago, powerful evolved beings were able to cover the sky with one hand, inciting wars between evolved beings non-stop. Even some ordinary people were implicated. There was an ordinary couple who suffered an unexpected calamity and died in the hands of evolved beings. "Shut up." Wang Jingyang glared at Azure Dragon. He wasn't interested in listening to this nonsense. However, the Azure Dragon ignored him and continued. The husband and wife left behind a pair of children. Just as the two daughters were about to be killed, the Holy Master of the Holy Land descended from the sky like a god and punished those powerful evolvers who disturbed the balance of the ordinary world. The young man, who was the younger brother, saw the godlike holy leader of the sacred land, but he cried at the sight of his parents' corpses. He blamed himself for not protecting these ordinary people and not appearing in time to punish the chaos caused by the powerful evolved beings. "What are you trying to say?" Wang Jingyang asked. "Ah, go, can you imagine that the holy leader, a man who is close to the god of evolved beings, a man who has the title of the most powerful evolved being, and an invincible evolved being, would actually cry for ordinary people? Wang Jingyang stopped attacking and didn't speak. He had already guessed that the pair of children that Azure Dragon was talking about was Azure Dragon and his sister. The young man remembers that the Holy Land Lord personally buried his parents and knelt in front of their graves to apologize. He pushed all the blame and the evil consequences onto himself. It was because he did not fulfill his duty as a guardian that allowed ordinary people to be killed by evolved humans. Even the conflicts between evolved humans had always been caused by friction between them. As the Holy Land Lord, he wanted to balance everything out and even end everything. Later on, the young man and his older sister were both brought into the Holy Land by the Holy Land's Lord to train and raise them. As for that young man, that was me. Wang Jingyang stared at Azure Dragon and sneered, so, in the end, you're from the Holy Land. Azure Dragon did not answer. He continued, actually, do you know that there is no evil person in the Holy Land, especially the leader of the Holy Land? He has the purest truth and kindness in this world. Everything he does is for the sake of the balance between the evolved beings. Only when there is true balance will there be true peace. You see him as an evil person only because your standpoints and perspectives are different. You see the problem differently, that's all. So, that dog of a Holy Land's leader sent you to the mountains and seas as a spy? Wang Jingyang asked coldly. However, Azure Dragon shook his head, it's not what you think. The Azure Dragon stared at Wang Jingyang and continued, I really hate some powerful evolved humans who use their powerful evolutionary powers to stir up wars between the evolved human clans. They even treat ordinary people like ants that can be crushed at any time. Wang Jingyang thought. And my mission in the Holy Land has always been to kill these evil evolved beings. Entering the mountains and seas was just a coincidence. End of this chapter. Chapter 1481. Back then, Azure Dragon went out to carry out a mission, but he did not expect the enemy to be so strong that he was seriously injured. The Azure Dragon risked his life to escape and was lucky enough to keep his life. However, he was severely injured and fainted somewhere. By the time Azure Dragon woke up, he had already been rescued by the young Nine Phoenix. At first glance, Azure Dragon recognized Jiu Feng. This girl would seriously affect the balance between evolvers in the future, so, she had to be eliminated. However, at that time, the mountain sea had already begun to take shape. Nine Phoenix had several powerful evolvers by his side, including the mountain sea Heavenly Hound. Moreover, he was heavily injured and unable to move at all. Therefore, the Azure Dragon concealed his identity and deceived the trust of Jiu Feng and the other members. He even successfully joined the Mountain Sea and obtained the title of Mountain Sea Azure Dragon. You really are a beast. Wang Jingyang stared coldly at Azure Dragon. Every single member of Shanghai is our closest ally, our partner, our brother, our sister. That means you've killed them all. Is this your so-called justice? Is this the balance you speak of? Is this the supreme ideal in your heart? Following Wang Jingyang's words, Azure Dragon's body trembled slightly. I'm sorry. I didn't expect it to be like this. If they didn't obstruct the Holy Land, if they didn't block or attack us, they wouldn't, bullshit. Wang Jingyang roared angrily and punched Azure Dragon's face. Azure Dragon was punched and fell to the ground. In the next second, Wang Jingyang rode on Azure Dragon's back, and his fists rained down on Azure Dragon's face. They treat Jiu Feng as their own little sister, as family. Every single member of the Mountain Sea tribe is a family worth protecting. How could they let the people from the Holy Land take away their closest family member? Ah. Do you still remember how Fatty died? He died trying to protect you, you bastard. Do you still remember what Fatty said to you in the last second before he died? Azure Dragon's pupils suddenly shrank. The Fatty that Wang Jingyang was referring to was the Taotai of Shanghai. He was also a very powerful evolver. Taotai thought that the people of the Holy Land would attack him, so he stopped those people until he died. However, Wang Jingyang's words allowed Azure Dragon to see the memories that he had been avoiding and did not dare to face. Taotia's last words before he died was to let him run. Suddenly, the Azure Dragon kicked Wang Jingyang up. Even if you want to beat me to death, now is not the time. I came out this time not to let you beat me, but to atone for my sins. And the prerequisite for atoning for my sins is that I must live. The Azure Dragon wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. Back then, the Azure Dragon had hesitated and struggled. Be it Nine Phoenix or Mountain Sea, they were his benefactors. If he reported their whereabouts and abilities, wouldn't he be ungrateful? But then, he thought of his parents. The nine-headed phoenix's ability was too dangerous. If she wasn't eradicated, it was highly possible that the world of evolvers would be reshuffled because of this girl. This risk couldn't be taken. However, the Azure Dragon had never had a good opportunity to bring this information back to the Holy Land. The longer he spent in the mountains and seas, the more he interacted with them, the more he came to view each and every member of the mountains and seas as his closest family. In fact, he had never felt such a bond between them before, even with his own sister. But in the end, he still betrayed them and caused their deaths. End of chapter. Chapter 1482. Was he wrong? He was only doing it for balance, for peace, to prevent more ordinary people from dying at the hands of powerful evolved beings. If the world of evolved beings lost its balance, what would become of the world? He thought that he had finally fulfilled his duty of brotherhood, but when he saw the members of the Mountain Sea realm die one by one in front of him, his heart was in extreme pain. It was even more painful than when he saw his parents killed. This time, it was his own hands that killed his family members who were still worried about him before they died. After that, Azure Dragon left the Holy Land and even entered the prison. Everything was as he said. Entering the prison was his sin. He thought that he would spend the rest of his life in the prison until Jiu Feng entered. Jiu Feng did not die. He was left with two choices. First, he could fulfill his duty of righteousness and kill Jiu Feng or inform the Holy Land. Second, he could redeem himself and use his blood-stained hands to protect his last family members. And this time, leaving the prison grounds was redemption. First, it was redemption for himself. Second, it was redemption for the world. Your choice is. Wang Jingyang stared at Azure Dragon. This time, Azure Dragon opened his eyes. I want to protect my family, and redeem myself. How can I trust you? Wang Jingyang asked. Azure Dragon shook his head. I have already received news from the Holy Land. This time, the Holy Land leader and the two protectors are personally coming. Why would I lie to you? The leaked video has already spread all over the Evolved Beings network. How can it be hidden from the Holy Land? Wang Jingyang did not question him this time. Indeed, Azure Dragon had no reason to lie to him. The appearance of the two protectors and the Holy Land leader was enough to show the importance the Holy Land attached to this matter. They were invincible, godlike enemies. You can go. I have my own plans, Wang Jingyang said. Don't even think about leaving with Jiu Feng, Azure Dragon said. What do you mean? Wang Jingyang frowned at Azure Dragon. You underestimate the Holy Land's ability. Azure Dragon said, as soon as you leaked your location, the Holy Land has already moved to secretly monitor Jiu Feng's whereabouts. No matter where you escape, you won't be able to escape, because this time, the two protectors and the Holy Land leader are personally coming. Upon hearing that, Wang Jingyang sneered and said, You only monitored Jiu Feng and not me? Is there a need to monitor you? Can you affect the balance of the evolved world? The Holy Land only has one goal, and that is Jiu Feng. No matter what you say, you're still a member of the Holy Land. You also caused the deaths of our brothers and sisters in the mountains and seas. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. Wang Jingyang turned around and left. Wait. Azure Dragon said, You don't have to be surprised by Shao Ji's behavior. He is the smartest person in our mountain and sea realm. The reason why he deliberately publicized the abilities of the 9 phoenixes is so that a large number of powerful evolvers will fight for the 9 phoenixes. He is trying to create obstacles for the Holy Land. His original intention is still there. TSK, the same kind of trash. Wang Jingyang sneered and disappeared. Cloud Manor, Lin Yan and the others stared at Qin Huan, who had been captured and was sitting quietly in a corner. You're dead. Suddenly, Qin Huan looked at Wu Yu. Pfft. Wu Yu glanced at Qin Huan. I think you should die first. You despicable person. You forced me to steal confidential documents. You're immoral. Not only did you not repent after being exposed, but you even threatened me. End of this chapter. Chapter 1483. Qin Huan sneered coldly. Did I force you? Didn't I give you money? What happened to the face you used to bargain with me? You have no professional ethics at all. How dare you talk about morality? Sister Yan, I was really forced. I didn't take any money. Wu Yu glanced at Lin Yan. Lin Yan grinned at Wu Yu. Remember to transfer the money to me after you receive the money. Also, don't forget the money you owe me. If you don't pay me back, I will break your legs. Wu Yu was speechless. Brother Pei. Xing Chen. I'm sorry, but you don't have to ask me anymore. I don't know anything and I won't say anything. I don't know anything. Just kill me, said Qin Huan. Qin Huan, have you forgotten how Brother Pei treated us? How dare you betray him time and time again? Are you even human? Xing Chen bellowed. That's why. I've let Brother Pei down. I've already pledged my loyalty to him. Forget it. We have our own masters. There's nothing to say, replied Qin Huan. So, everything about you is fake. You being by Brother Pei's side is a complete conspiracy, Xing Chen said. Yes. Qin Huan gritted his teeth. It's the Heavenly Hound, right? Pei Yuqing asked after some time. Xing Chen and the others looked puzzled. Qin Huan was the only one who looked surprised. Brother Pei, how? How did you know? No one should have known about this. That might not be all I know, Pei Yuqing replied. The Mountain Sea Heavenly Hound, Mu Yang, they were his childhood friends, so their friendship went without saying. Back then, Pei Yuqing had been a guest at the Mu family and learned from the Mu family's madam for a period of time. In a sense, the Mu family's madam was his mentor. During his time with the Mu family, Pei Yuqing had befriended Mu Yang and Mu Yen. He had a deep relationship with Mu Yang. If it hadn't been for the incident in Mountain Sea, perhaps, however, Pei Yuqing had to suffer in silence. He couldn't voice out his bitterness. Only he and the people of the Mountain and Sea realm knew that Jiu Feng was still alive and had become the 9 phoenixes of the Mountain and Sea realm. Although Xiao Ji's younger brother, Xiao Yao, and the others also learned the truth later, they were not suspected because of the time difference. In that battle, almost everyone in the Mountain Sea realm died in battle. Heavenly Hound escaped with 9 phoenix, and Xiao Ji was seriously injured and almost died. Coincidentally, a few days before the incident, he had run into 9 phoenix and the others from the mountains and seas. Something had happened a few days after he had left, so the suspicion naturally fell on him. Pei Yuqing wasn't a talkative person. He had tried to explain the truth to the Heavenly Hound, but things had turned out contrary to his wishes. He was indeed too suspicious. Heavenly Hound? Lin Yan was puzzled. Wang Jingyang, Pei Yuqing replied. Wang Jingyang? Lin Yan was taken aback for a moment before she instinctively grinned. Is the Wang Jingyang you're talking about the Wang Jingyang I know? Okay, Pei Yuqing replied. He had recognized Wang Jingyang the first time he had seen him, but he hadn't exposed him. Once he did, there would definitely be a battle between him and Wang Jingyang. Wang Jingyang would also leave with Lin Yan again. Hence, he could only pretend that he hadn't recognized Wang Jingyang. As it turned out, his method was indeed correct. At that moment, Pei Yuqing also knew why Wang Jingyang had arranged for Qin Huan to be by his side. Chapter 1484. Even though Wang Jingyang believed that he was the one who had leaked Shanhai's whereabouts and betrayed Shanhai, him, and even Jiu Feng, deep in his heart, Wang Jingyang still held a sliver of hope. He did not believe that he was the traitor. Therefore, he had arranged for Qin Huan to approach him and have Qin Huan investigate whether he was the one who did it. Otherwise, there was no need for Wang Jingyang to spend so much effort to send someone to get close to him. All he needed to do was to confirm that it was him and seek revenge on him. Perhaps, even Wang Jingyang himself did not realize this. Hold on. I'm a little confused. Give me some time to think. Lin Yan frowned. Her best friend, who had grown up with her, was Qin Huan's master. He had sent Qin Huan to Pei Yuqing's side. She didn't mention Wang Jingyang in the note she wrote when she recovered her memory. Her mind was a little confused. Brother Pei, can you show Miss Lin Yan now? Asked Xing Chen. Let's see. Pei Yuqing nodded. At this juncture, it would be best if Lin Yan could remember everything. Otherwise, Xing Chen took out a custom-made phone and passed it to Lin Yan. As she watched the video, Lin Yan recalled that she had asked Wang Jingyang to disguise himself as a man in black and shoot a short story. At first, it was the same as she remembered. However, after Si-Bai suddenly appeared, everything was beyond her understanding. You must be lying. Lin Yan was stunned when she saw the terrifying power that Wang Jingyang had displayed. Wang Jingyang was not the only one. While he was unconscious, he had also displayed an indescribable power of evolution. So, she really was the creator of the mountains and seas, 9 Phoenix, and Wang Jingyang's true identity was the mountains and seas heavenly dog? Wang Jingyang isn't just a heavenly hound. Pei Yuqing glanced at Lin Yan. He is also your brother, Mu Yang. Ah. Lin Yan couldn't accept Wang Jingyang's power and identity. Now that he had a brother, Wang Jingyang was adopted by Madame Mu. Although the two of you aren't related by blood, you are no different from siblings, Pei Yuqing quipped. Lin Yan was speechless, her mind was even messier. She probably needed walnuts to nourish her brain. Miss Lin Yan, don't blame him. Qin Huan glanced at Lin Yan suddenly. Everything he did was for you, so that you could live. Can you tell me everything? Lin Yan glanced at Qin Huan and then glanced at Pei Yuqing. Pei Yuqing pondered for a moment before he instructed Xing Chen to lead everyone away. Only he and Lin Yan were left in the room. Okay. After everyone left, Pei Yuqing nodded and said, I thought that time would allow you to slowly recall everything. However, it seems like I have to tell you now. The story is long. You were originally the daughter of the Shang clan, family is Mu. Family. You. Family. Of Mu. You. Lin Yu. Mu of, Yang of you, who. You, who of, you of, Yen of, who, Jingoff. Lin Yan was speechless. Who could get her a ton of walnuts to nourish her brain? Of. You of Yen, was. Chapter 1485. After you were born, Shang Yuan used some experimental techniques on you, hoping that you would become the most powerful evolved being. However, there was another kind of evolution in your body. The effect of this power is very terrifying. You can allow any evolved being with talent to evolve indefinitely. Unlimited? Lin Yan was shocked. Even though she didn't know much about the evolution system, she could sense how terrifying this power was. It was just like playing a game. She could activate a bug and increase her level indefinitely. That would be terrible. Did she have this ability? No wonder those evolved beings had addressed him as senior and asked her to help them. The evolution of an evolved being is like a double-edged sword. The higher the level of evolution, the stronger the ability, and the more side effects. Take Xiao Ji for example. His evolution level is too deep, and his body can't handle it. His legs are crippled, so he can only rely on a wheelchair, said Pei Yucheng. Xiao Ji is also an evolved being. The corners of Lin Yan's mouth twitched. Yeah, he used to be a member of the Mountain Sea Realm. He was the think tank of the Mountain Sea Realm. Pei Yucheng nodded. Lin Yan was speechless. Therefore, as long as you're willing, you can eliminate the defects in Xiao Ji's body. He can continue to evolve until he becomes a true god of evolved beings. However, because of your ability, the Shang family has split up and a battle has started. For the sake of your safety, your father sent you to the Mu family and made you the young lady of the Mu family. Everything started from here. I met you and Mu Yang in the Mu family. After that, in order to learn better, we passed the entrance test of the Holy Land and entered the Holy Land to study. Because of our good performance, we were accepted as disciples by the leader of the Holy Land. However, good times didn't last long. Master discovered your ability and came to the conclusion that this ability would affect the balance of the evolved being world. Why? Lin Yan frowned. Because the strongest evolved being is Master. He is undoubtedly the god of evolved beings. No evolved being can fight against him. Master's life creed is to maintain peace among evolved beings and protect the world of ordinary people. He doesn't want any evolved being to affect the ordinary world, said Pei Yucheng. And your ability is very special, just like the creator of gods. If one day, some people evolve limitlessly because of your ability, and their abilities become equal to Master, or even surpass Master, surpass the Holy Land, what would happen then? Lin Yan was speechless. If those people are righteous, the world will naturally be at peace. However, if they are ambitious, the sacred ground will be powerless to stop them. In fact, no one can stop them. When that happens, the world of evolved beings and ordinary people will be destroyed, Pei Yucheng said. This. Lin Yan frowned thoughtfully. I think the leader of the sacred land doesn't want anyone to surpass him. Pei Yucheng shook his head and replied, that's possible, but a master would weep because he didn't protect an ordinary person. He would also kneel in front of a grave for days because his disciple died on a mission. He doesn't seem like a master. Given the power of the sacred ground leader, no one in this world could stop him from doing whatever he wanted. However, he had trapped himself in the sacred ground. Unless there was something urgent, he would never step out of the sacred ground. This was the most powerful and purest person Pei Yucheng had ever seen. Chapter 1486. What happened after he discovered my power? Lin Yan pressed on. He killed you, replied Pei Yucheng. Huh? Lin Yan was confused. Back then, you were knocked off the cliff by Master. You were supposed to die, but I don't know if it was your ability or a coincidence. But you didn't die. Instead, you were saved by Wang Jingyang. After that, Wang Jingyang took you away from the sacred land. He didn't dare return to the Mu family, afraid that Master would find out. Thus, he changed his appearance and wandered around to establish Mountain Sea. But why don't I have any memories? Lin Yan mumbled to herself. It should be a side effect of your ability, Pei Yucheng explained. Your ability is very special. Any memories that hurt you and make you feel pain will be deleted. It might even form fake memories to repair them, Pei Yucheng said hesitantly. Even so, why did the leader of the sacred land do that? If I was his disciple, he could have guided me even if he knew that I had this power. There was no need to kill me, replied Lin Yan. Everyone has different thoughts. Even if you can recognize this, what if a powerful evolved being takes you away one day? The human heart is unpredictable. To him, you're the most unstable factor. Only by making this power disappear would he be able to achieve the greatest balance, said Pei Yucheng. So, I deserve to die? Lin Yan was amused and annoyed at the same time. She had been shot even though she was lying down. Pei Yucheng shook his head. That's why I said that everyone has different opinions and stands on different sides. Master's biggest mistake was to think that he was a real god. No one can decide a person's fate. He can't even take away a person's life when he's innocent. He wants to control everything. Pei Yuqing's gaze was firm. Even God can't. The sacred land found out about the betrayal of Mountain Sea. After learning that you weren't dead, the sacred land sent a guardian to capture everyone in Mountain Sea. Other than you, Wang Jingyang, and Xiao Ji, almost everyone died in battle. They died because they wanted you to live. To them, you were the most important family, said Pei Yuqing. For some reason, when he mentioned Mountain Sea, Lin Yan felt a sense of sorrow that couldn't dissipate. This sorrow seemed to come from the depths of her heart. Who betrayed us? Lin Yan asked coldly. Pei Yuqing was speechless. Wang Jingyang thinks that it's me. Pei Yuqing sounded helpless. There must be a misunderstanding, replied Lin Yan without hesitation. She trusted the man in front of her. Pei Yuqing's eyes quivered when he saw the trust in Lin Yan's eyes. I've been investigating this matter, but I haven't found anything. However, I'm sure that it has nothing to do with me. When he had found out that the leader of the sacred ground had killed Lin Yan, he had started to hate the sacred ground. He had even wanted to kill his master to avenge Lin Yan. However, how could Pei Yuqing be a match for the leader of the holy ground then? He could only endure and wait for an opportunity. After that, he joined Amnesty and even became the seventh generation of Amnesty. Even so, the terrifying power of the sacred land was unshakable. Until he met Lin Yan at a racetrack overseas, the moment he saw Lin Yan, everything became unimportant. Unfortunately, after experiencing Lin Yan's death, he had been too afraid of losing her. Thus, he had used extreme methods to protect her. Because of his stubbornness, he almost lost her again. If his mental strength hadn't been drawn to her body, he might never have had the chance to get close to her again. That was because he wasn't protecting her. He was hurting her. Xing Chen and the others had no choice but to leave. Sister. Lin Yan stared at Mu Yu. Mu Yu clenched her teeth. Don't call me sister. I'm not fit to be your sister. Lin Yan glanced at Pei Yuqing. What have I done to her? Lin Yan was puzzled. I don't think so. Pei Yuqing shook his head. End of this chapter. Chapter 1488. As the two of them spoke, Mu Yu laughed. Mu Yan, you're the best at snatching away everything from others. Even your sister. The demoness glared at Lin Yan, her eyes filled with hatred. What exactly happened? You know that I don't remember anything. Lin Yan pinched her eyebrows helplessly. She was tired of guessing. Couldn't she just say it directly? Could it be a melodramatic plot? Lin Yan whispered in Pei Yuqing's ear, what did I snatch away? Did I snatch her man? Pei Yuqing coughed softly. I don't think so. Wasn't he wondering why the sacred ground hadn't looked for you all these years? Mu Yu grinned. Does it have anything to do with this? Lin Yan frowned. Of course, Mu Yu replied coldly. Because I took your place, to die. Pei Yuqing frowned when he heard Mu Yu. It seemed like his guess was right. What do you mean? Lin Yan was still puzzled. Since you want to know, I can tell you, replied Mu Yu. Lin Yan's pupils constricted as she listened to Mu Yu's words. She looked incredulous. There were two young ladies in the Mu family, and one of them was Mu Yu. However, Mu Yu didn't usually show her face. It seemed like the Mu family had deliberately concealed her identity. Hence, Pei Yuqing, who had stayed with the Mu family for a long time, didn't know about Mu Yu. Back then, the leader of the sacred ground had thrown Lin Yan off the cliff, thinking that she was dead. However, he had received news that Lin Yan was still alive and had even become the leader of the Mountain Sea sect. Hence, he had sent a guardian to kill Lin Yan. No one had expected that the people of the Mountain Sea sect would risk their lives to protect Lin Yan and allow her to escape. The leader of the sacred ground had been furious and had gone to the Mu family's house personally, claiming that Lin Yan had violated the sacred grounds rules. He had demanded that the Mu family hand over Lin Yan and accept punishment. Madame Mu had indeed handed over Lin Yan, but that person wasn't Lin Yan. It was Mu Yu. The leader of the sacred ground had mistaken Mu Yu for Lin Yan, so he had brought her back and executed her. After confirming that Mu Yu was dead, the leader of the sacred ground had ordered someone he trusted to dispose of Mu Yu's body. While disposing of the body, that person had realized that Mu Yu's body had a special structure. She had been dead, but after some time, there was a trace of life. That person had tried his best to save her. The person who had saved Mu Yu was the Azure Dragon who had betrayed the mountains and seas and was planning to lead the mountains and seas. Pei Yuqing stared at Mu Yu, knowing that she might be telling the truth. If that was the case, he would have an explanation for the things that he hadn't understood. If it hadn't been for Mu Yu, Lin Yan wouldn't have survived until now. It was precisely because of Mu Yu that the leader of the sacred ground had assumed that Lin Yan was dead. Otherwise, the sacred ground would have searched for her. Whether it's you or my mother, you actually treated me as a chess piece. Why did you do that? You wanted me to impersonate you and help you pay with your life? Am I not your relative? Am I not a human? That's right, I remember now, I am indeed not a human. Saying that, Mu Yu's eyes turned red. Mu is. Mu already. I already, pay. Mu, Lin Yan Mu Yu, Lin of Lin Yu. Lin. End of chapter. Chapter 1489. After some time, Pei Yuqing explained, "Do you remember what I told you? You're the daughter of Shang Yuan, the head of the Shang family. However, you're his only daughter. Why does she look exactly the same as you? Why is she also in the Mu family and has even become your sister?" Lin Yan remained silent. How would she know the reason? Her brain was about to explode. "It's possible that she's your clone," Pei Yuqing quipped. Tears streamed down Mu Yu's face when she heard that. What? Lin Yan's heart pounded furiously. Clone? According to the information I received, your father gave 2 girls to the Mu family. One of them was you, and the other was her. However, Shang Yuan only had 1 daughter, and his experimental skills were unparalleled. Thus, I speculated that when Shang Yuan sent you to the Mu family, he used his experimental skills to clone you. This experimental body was created with your sister's identity to help you avoid disaster. Shang Yuan knew how dangerous your ability was, so he planned ahead. The facts have proven that your father's methods were very effective. Otherwise, you wouldn't have survived until now. From Shang Yuan's point of view, as a father who wanted to protect his daughter, it wasn't wrong for him to use experimental methods to create an experimental body to help her avoid disaster. However, Mu had been born for Lin Yan. That wasn't fair to her. Lin Yan didn't know what to say. Even though the person in front of her was just an experimental body, she had human thoughts, flesh, and emotions. She couldn't treat her like an object. If what Mu said was true, she did owe her. That's why I told you not to call me sister. I'm not fit to be your sister. I'm just a puppet that you use to avoid disaster. Mu Yu's lips curled into a mocking smile. How could she not? She hated her. How could she not? I exist only to help my sister die when she is in danger. I'm just a monster. A monster whose ultimate goal is to die for you. All this is because I'm your clone, your experimental body, and your substitute. I'm not fit to be human. I don't deserve to have feelings or a family. I don't even have the right to hate you. You didn't take everything from me. Without you, I wouldn't even exist in this world. What right do I have to hate you? Mu Yu's expression was filled with despair and madness. Lin Yan frowned and interrupted the girl. What do you mean by my clone? My test subject? My substitute? You are you, even if I allowed you to be born. From the moment you were born in this world, you are Mu Yu. What? What did you say? Mu Yu froze on the spot. Ever since she was born, she had known her destiny. She had been living in Lin Yan's shadow and had never seen herself as a human being. No one had ever told her that she was herself, that she was Mu Yu. Lin Yan studied the girl quietly and said matter-of-factly, "What's the problem? Not to mention that you're my clone, even if I gave birth to you and I'm your mother. Do you think I can decide your life and death just because I gave birth to you and gave you life? Do you think I can decide the meaning of your existence?" End of chapter. Chapter 1490. Similarly, I am me. I will take responsibility for my own matters. I don't need anyone else to take the blame for me. Even if she's my clone, she's not me. There's only one Lin Yan in this world. No one can replace me, including dying for me. However, regardless of whether this was caused by my subjective or objective actions, it has already become a fact. Don't say that you don't have the right because I gave you my life. If you want to hate me, hate me. I have nothing to say. I owe you my life. If you want to take revenge, do it. As long as you have the ability, I will accompany you. Although Lin Yan said that, she still silently took a step back. She couldn't beat Mu Yu now. You. Mu Yu stood there in a daze, unable to speak for a long time. Although the girl before her had lost her memories, she hadn't changed at all. In her memory, the girl had looked at her with sparkling eyes and said the same thing to her. You really haven't changed at all. You're still so hypocritical. Mu Yu turned her face away. She did not want to look at the girl's bright eyes. She did not want to think about the girl's words. You are Mu Yu. Back then, after she had been saved by Green Dragon, she had hated the Mu family, Lin Yan, and everyone else. She wanted to prove to everyone that even if she was a monster cloned by experimental technology, she could still shine as brightly as before. She wanted to become a female devil that everyone feared and respected. She could also use her experimental technology to create evolvers that were stronger and more terrifying than the natural-born evolvers. Just like what she had been doing, she used her experimental technology to create batch after batch of perfect experimental subjects. Which one of them was worse than the natural-born evolvers? She wanted to take revenge. She wanted to use the power of the experimental subjects to destroy the Mu family and her sister. Why was she born to be a substitute? She was clearly Mu Yan. However, when she really wanted to do that, she couldn't do it. She couldn't do anything to the Mu family. She couldn't even do anything to her sister, even though she had met her sister who had lost her memories and her so-called brother when she had first set up the laboratory. At that time, she could have killed Lin Yan and her so-called brother. However, she couldn't do it. She could only watch as Lin Yan escaped. Perhaps she didn't want her sister to die so easily. Since her sister had taken everything away from her and caused her to lose her family, she should do the same. But she failed again. Just because the girl in front of her was the only person in this world who said, "She is Mu Yu, Mu Yan, put away your hypocrisy. I won't let you die so easily." Mu Yu clenched her fists tightly, but in the end, she snorted and turned to leave. Lin Yan hurriedly stopped her. "Hold on. Back then, my brother and I were captured in your lab. How is he now?" Lin Yan glanced at Mu Yu anxiously. "Your younger brother?" Mu Yu spoke with an expressionless face. "Since you already know about your past, why are you so fixated on someone who isn't related to you by blood?" Lin Yan didn't agree with Mu Yu. Even though she wasn't Mu Yun's biological daughter, her feelings for her younger brother were real. Regardless of whether they were related by blood or not, Lin Yan would treat Lin Nua as her brother until she found him. End of chapter. Chapter 1491. Is blood relations that important? I treat him as my younger brother, so he's my younger brother. Lin Yan replied. Is it that important to be a test subject? If I say you're my sister, you're my sister. You don't have to protect me. I will protect myself and you. The girl's tender voice seemed to be echoing in his mind like it was only yesterday. Mu Yu's back stiffened as she said coldly, "Go and find him yourself." Lin Yan sighed heavily as she watched Mu Yu leave. "No matter what, I've let her down." Pei Yuqing extended his warm hand and stroked Lin Yan's head gently. "It's not your fault. If I were your father, I would have made the same decision as him." How could he dare tell her that he had done so many things to protect her and ensure that she would live a good life? Before Lin Yan could reply, she noticed that Pei Yuqing's expression had changed. All the blood had drained from his face. Lin Yan panicked. "What's wrong?" Pei Yuqing shook his head and steadied himself. "I'm about to break through and evolve. I've been suppressing it for a long time. I'm afraid I can't suppress it anymore." "Evolve?" Lin Yan asked curiously, "Isn't that a good thing? Why do you have to suppress it?" She wanted to break through and evolve, but she didn't have the chance. Pei Yuqing glanced at Lin Yan and pondered for a moment. "Given my current level, continuing to evolve requires a huge risk, especially my body. I might not be able to withstand it." Lin Yan was startled when she heard Pei Yuqing. Pei Yuqing was right. If she had evolved and broken through, there wouldn't have been a problem. After all, she was a rookie evolved being. However, Pei Yuqing was different. His body couldn't withstand the continuous evolution. Just like Xiao Ji, his legs had been crippled because of his evolution. "What should we do? Will it be dangerous?" "Don't tell me, you'll be like Xiao Ji." Lin Yan stared at Pei Yuqing, feeling as though her heart was being gripped by a huge iron claw. "There will be a certain risk." Pei Yuqing didn't hide the truth. "Don't worry, I've made preparations. I just need to calm down and cultivate in seclusion. During this time, take good care of yourself and the two brats." Lin Yan frowned as she asked the question that had been bothering her for a long time. "Pei Yuqing. Too many things have happened recently. My world has been turned upside down. Everything I know has changed. The parents I thought were not my parents. Wang Jingyang, who had always been with me, was my brother who grew up with me. The female devil who had always wanted to kill me was my experimental subject. There were also Xiao Ji, Xiao Yao, Xiao Nuo." Lin Yan paused and glanced at the man. "What about you? Who was Pei Yuqing? What was his identity? What did it have to do with her? Why do you have to do so many things for me and take such a big risk? You should know how terrifying my enemies are. Are you really just an ordinary person who appears by my side?" Pei Yuqing lowered his eyes and held Lin Yan's hand. He raised it to his lips and kissed it. "I'm just an ordinary person who loves you. If you want, I can even be your husband. Good night." The update is over. Smooches. End of chapter. Chapter 1492. The man in front of her gazed at her, his gaze deep and unfathomable. Lin Yan's heart pounded as she indulged in it. At the same time, her heart was struck by a painful memory. It felt as though it was being bitten by aphids. In the past, she might not have been sure. However, at this moment, she was certain that she was willing to spend the rest of her life with the person in front of her. Lin Yan touched her burning fingers. "If you come back safely, I'll tell you the answer." Pei Yuqing's eyes narrowed. "Okay." After Pei Yuqing left, Lin Yan sighed and rested her chin on her hand. She couldn't help but worry. She could tell how dangerous the evolution process was. How could she be at ease? Pei Yuqing had been suppressing himself for so long. He had suddenly chosen to take the risk and evolve at this time to protect her. Now that a storm was brewing, the sacred ground could come knocking at any time. If only she could recover her ability. Did she really have such a heaven-defying ability? Could she make someone evolve indefinitely? Lin Yan shut her eyes and tried hard to recall something. However, her mind was blank. There was no trace of the past, let alone her ability to recover. Lin Yan had no choice but to stop trying when she felt a sharp pain in her head. When she returned to the house, Lin Yan realized that Pei Qian and Pei Li weren't there. She searched the area but couldn't find them. Just as Lin Yan was feeling puzzled, she heard the sound of fighting nearby. What had happened? Lin Yan hurriedly followed the sound. In a corner of Cloud Manor, Lin Yan hid in the dark and saw two men fighting with a teenager. Bai He? Lin Yan was startled. The teenager was Bai He, who had been staying at Wang Jingyang's house. Stop! Lin Yan frowned and ran out of the dark. The two men and Bai He were startled when they saw Lin Yan. Who are you? Lin Yan bellowed at the two of them. One of them straightened his back and replied respectfully, Mistress, we were arranged by the 7th generation leader to protect you. This person is a disciple of the sacred ground. Nonsense. So what if I'm from the sacred ground? I didn't hide it from you. That's my senior sister. How could I hurt her? What an indiscriminate fellow. Bai He snorted. Scram. As long as you're from the Holy Land, you're not allowed to approach the mistress. Scram or we'll kill you. One of them shouted. Humph, who's afraid of who? Come on, let's fight. Whoever's afraid is a turtle bastard who doesn't have a butt when giving birth. The white crane was not to be outdone. All right. Lin Yan frowned and turned to the two of them. You guys can leave first. I'll handle this. Hearing this, the two men were in a dilemma. The 7th generation swordsman had instructed them to, what should we do? The two of them looked at each other. If something goes wrong, we won't be able to escape the blame. But, the matriarch has already spoken. According to Lord Godong, the 7th generation swordsman is very afraid of his wife, and he follows her blindly. As long as the matriarch gives the word, even the position of the head of the intelligence department will belong to him. Can we afford to offend her? We definitely can't offend him, but we can't let anything happen to him either. We just have to listen to Mistress and keep an eye on that brat. If there's anything wrong with him, immediately come out and kill him. All right, it's decided then. After deliberating for a long time, the two of them finally reached a consensus. End of chapter. Chapter 1493. Why are the two of you whispering to each other? Lin Yan was puzzled. The white crane replied, Senior sister, they are discussing whether they should listen to you or not. You're just a woman, yet you want to command them? Lad, shut your dog mouth. Mistress, don't listen to this lad's nonsense. People from the sacred land like to sow discord. Let's leave now. Mistress, you have to be careful. The white crane grinned as it watched the two of them leave in a hurry. Lin Yan waved at the white crane, gesturing for it to come over. The white crane scurried over to Lin Yan and said, Senior sister, why didn't you come to see me? I missed you so much. I came a few times, but they beat me up. Lin Yan stared at the white crane and asked curiously, why did you come to see me in the middle of the night? Where's Wang Jingyang? After Lin Yan had found out about Wang Jingyang's identity, she had called him. However, his phone had been switched off. I don't know. He's not at home every day. I rarely see him. Furthermore, I came to look for you in the middle of the night because I miss you, senior sister. Secondly, I have something to tell you, Bai He said. Let's talk inside. Lin Yan led the white crane into the room. Lin Yan was speechless as she watched the white crane wolf down the pastries. Wang Jingyang hadn't even prepared food for him. Lin Yan handed the white crane a bottle of water after it was done. The white crane took a few sips before it told Lin Yan, Senior sister, hurry up and run. Something big has happened. What's wrong? Asked Lin Yan. The white crane glanced at Lin Yan and fell silent for a moment. The sacred land has issued a mission to find Mu Yen at all costs. Master and the two most powerful guardians of the sacred land are here to capture you, senior sister. Lin Yen fell into deep thought after listening to the white crane. Senior sister, what should we do? Why is the sacred land doing this? Sigh. This isn't the time to talk about this. Senior sister, hurry up and think of a solution, the white crane said anxiously. White crane. Lin Yen eyed the white crane and chuckled softly. You're also a disciple of the sacred land. Aren't you interested in this mission? The white crane was taken aback when it heard Lin Yen. It stared at Lin Yen in disbelief. Senior sister, are you implying that you don't trust me? Bai he said after a long silence. I'm just curious. Lin Yen shook her head. It wasn't that Lin Yen didn't trust the white crane. If the white crane wanted to do anything to her, it could just wait for the people from the sacred ground to arrive and bring them over. There was no need to go through so much trouble. What she was curious about was why the white crane, a disciple of the Holy Land and the disciple of the Holy Lord, would tell her about these things. Although I don't know what happened, I know that senior sister is a good person. She has never used her identity as an evolved human to do anything bad. Senior sister has always loved me and taken good care of me. How could I betray senior sister? Moreover, I believe that there must be a misunderstanding. How can master do this? Bai He's tone was firm. Lin Yen smiled when she heard that. It seemed like she hadn't doted on this brat for nothing. I'm still young, so I don't know what's right and what's wrong. I only know that bad people should be punished for doing bad things, but senior sister is a good person. Why should a good person be judged by justice? I don't agree. I want to advance and retreat with you. Even if I'm punished by the two guardians, I'm not afraid. End of this chapter. Chapter 1494. Lin Yen stroked the white crane's head and grinned. Are you so sure that I'm a good person? What if I'm a bad person? The white crane shook its head hastily. No, I know you very well. Of course, I trust you, just like you trust me. Lin Yen was speechless. Why did this brat have so many principles? Oh yeah, white crane, what are the two guardians you mentioned? Are they very powerful? Asked Lin Yen. Lin Yen had learned about the sacred land from others because she had lost her memory. All Lin Yen knew was that she had once been a member of the sacred land and had been accepted as a disciple by the holy leader at the same time as Pei Yucheng and Wang Jingyang. Hence, Lin Yen only knew that the holy leader was very powerful, but she had never heard of a guardian. The white crane's expression changed at the mention of a guardian. A guardian is very powerful. The white crane nodded and said, if I have to make a comparison, in the sacred land, the holy leader represents light, while the guardian represents darkness. Represents darkness? Lin Yen was confused. Yeah. The white crane replied, when I was doing a mission, I made a mistake. The holy leader didn't blame me, but the guardian punished me. I almost died. The white crane still had lingering fears about the guardian of the sacred land. Lin Yen roughly understood the situation. To put it bluntly, one played the good cop, while the other played the bad cop. The holy leader played the good cop, while the guardian played the bad cop. For a force like the sacred land that maintained the balance and peace of the world, it wasn't enough to rely on the holy leader alone. The holy leader naturally knew this, so there was a guardian who represented darkness. There were some things that the holy leader couldn't do, but the guardian of the darkness could. Actually, I'm not sure about the guardian's evolution level. Very few people have seen the guardian display his strength, but... Senior sister, think about it. How could one become a guardian of the sacred land if he wasn't strong? He must be a powerful evolved being. The white crane's logic was very clear. How could one become a guardian of the sacred land if they weren't strong? Senior sister, how can you be so calm? The holy leader and the guardian have come personally. I have never heard of such a scene before. The white crane was puzzled by Lin Yan's nonchalant expression. If it had been in her shoes, it would have peed its pants. Lin Yan was speechless. Actually, there was nothing Lin Yan could do. It wasn't because she was strong, but because she had no idea what was going on. Lin Yan had completely lost her memory of the sacred land. She had no concept of it, which was why she appeared so indifferent. Was this perhaps because the ignorant were fearless? Senior sister, it's all right. If there's no other way, I will speak to the sacred leader. I believe that there will be a good ending. I won't let anyone hurt you. The white crane glanced at Lin Yan. Lin Yan grinned at him. If this matter could be resolved so easily, it wouldn't be like this today. Sister Yan, something bad has happened. Just as Bai He was about to say something, Xing Chen quickly ran in, his face full of panic. Lin Yan glanced at Xing Chen, who was panting heavily. What's wrong? Sister Yan, the two little brats are missing. Xing Chen exclaimed anxiously. Before Brother Pei went into seclusion, he had specially instructed him to keep an eye on Pei Qian and Pei Li and not to let the two little devils fool around. In the end, the two little devils had disappeared in the blink of an eye. This was unacceptable. End of this chapter. Chapter 1495. Lin Yan had realized that Pei Qian and Pei Li had disappeared, but she had forgotten about it when she met the white crane. Have you searched? Could they be playing hide and seek? Asked Lin Yan. Xing Chen felt helpless when he heard that. It seemed like Sister Yan didn't understand them. How could those two little devils know how to play hide and seek? No, I've searched everywhere. I really can't find them. Sister Yan, what should we do? Xing Chen was anxious. If anything happened, Brother Pei would skin him alive when he came out of seclusion. Xing Chen's heart was filled with helplessness. As expected, when Brother Pei wasn't around, those two little devils would definitely cause some trouble. However, there was no other way now. The threat of the Holy Land was getting closer and closer, and Brother Pei had no choice but to choose this time to break through and evolve. Where's Ling Yu? Call her over. Let's look for them together, said Lin Yan. Sister Yan, Ling Yu is looking at Qin Huan and Wu Yu. Go with Ching Mo and ask Ling Yu to look for them. Girls are more meticulous, replied Lin Yan. All right. Xing Chen called Ling Yu out, and the few of them conducted a carpet search of the manor, but they found nothing. At that moment, Lin Yan was really anxious. Lin Yan dialed Xiao Yao's number. After a long time, the call was picked up. Xiao Yao's voice was heard. Who are you? Lin Yan was speechless. Boss, I can't recognize you from my phone. Lin Yan, said Lin Yan. Xiao Yao fell into deep thought. After Lin Yan had recovered her memories, she had been kidnapped by a few powerful evolved beings. He had only been relieved when he found out that Lin Yan had returned to Cloud Manor. It seemed like Lin Yan had lost her memories again. Why are you looking for me in the middle of the night? Asked Xiao Yao. Xiao Yao, something big has happened. The two children are missing. Hurry up and come with me. Lin Yan said anxiously. Oh, I'm not going. Xiao Yao rejected her immediately. She had lost her two sons, but she hadn't looked for them. Instead, she had called him. Besides, those two children weren't ordinary people. Nothing could have happened to them. Lin Yan was taken aback. She hadn't expected Xiao Yao to reject her so decisively. Boss, that's not right. Lin Yan frowned. How can you be so irresponsible? Those two kids are related to you. I'm just helping you take care of them, Xiao Yao interrupted her. Didn't I give you money? Xiao Yao's words rendered Lin Yan speechless. Lin Yan grinned. Boss, this is indeed my fault. However, aren't you worried that the two kids are missing? Why don't we? Xiao Yao said, I'm not interested. I gave you the money. There's no rush. You can look for it yourself. With that, the call was hung up. Lin Yan was dumbfounded. unable to process what had just happened. Lin Yan was on the verge of tears. What kind of people were they? Sister Yan, don't be so anxious. Perhaps they ran out to play and will be back soon. Ling Yu comforted Lin Yan. She had no doubt that nothing would happen to those two little devils, but she was not sure if they would harm others. No, little Qian and little Li are still so young. What if something happens to them? Lin Yan felt increasingly uneasy. Logically speaking, the two children wouldn't leave Cloud Manor for no reason. Unless, cold sweat broke out on Lin Yan's forehead. Could Mu Yu have taken a fancy to those two children and taken them away for an experiment? At the thought of this, Lin Yan was extremely anxious. She pulled Ling Yu, Xing Chen, and the others out to look for them. She even brought the white crane along. The update ended. Happy Chinese Valentine's Day, babies. End of this chapter. Chapter 1496. Late at night, in the suburbs. Pei Qian and Pei Li stared at Mu Yu, who was walking in front of them. That woman looks exactly like Mother, Pei Li said. Exactly the same. Pei Qian nodded. But he dared to control Mother and hurt her. Pei Li's eyes flashed with anger. Hurting Mother is the worst. Pei Qian nodded in agreement. But when we were hiding outside the window, I vaguely heard that she is Mother's sister. Just like us. If that's the case, then she should be our aunt, Pei Li said. Pei Qian was speechless. Yes, aunt, Pei Li said. If that's the case, then it's even more despicable. But she is our aunt after all. We won't kill her, just teach her a lesson. You go, Pei Li said to Pei Qian. Yes, I'll go. Pei Qian said subconsciously. But when he regained his senses, he frowned. I'll go. Why don't you go? She looks exactly like Mother after all. I can't bear to teach her a lesson, Pei Li said. You can't bear to do it, but I'm cruel? Pei Qian was confused. Yes. Pei Li nodded. Just as the two of them were arguing, Pei Li covered Pei Qian's mouth. Stop arguing. Someone's coming. Pei Qian also felt that an extremely powerful evolver's aura was rapidly approaching. Mu Yu seemed to have sensed it as well and sped up. However, after a while, a black shadow descended from the sky and blocked Mu Yu's way. The newcomer was an old man with white hair and a stooped body. He looked like an ordinary old man, but his terrifying evolver's aura was as vast as the mountains and seas, shocking everyone who saw it. Mu Yu frowned when she saw the old man, but she did not say anything. The old man stared at Mu Yu, sizing her up. He smiled at Mu Yu and said, "Little girl, are you Mu Yan's elder sister, Mu Yu, or Mu Yu's younger sister? Protector of the Holy Land." Mu Yu's eyes flashed coldly when she saw the old man. He's from the Holy Land. In the dark, Pei Li frowned. The Holy Land, and a protector. That's not to be trifled with. Is this the Holy Land that wants to kill Mother? Pei Qian was shocked. He had never seen such a terrifying aura of evolution. Just how much had this little old man evolved? What should we do? Pei Qian looked at Pei Li. Let's wait and see, Pei Li said. What's wrong, little girl? Can you answer this little old man's question? The old man smiled at Mu Yu. I'm your ancestor. Mu Yu sneered. The old man didn't get angry, he just nodded and continued to say with a smile, looking at the way you speak, if I'm not wrong, you should be Mu Yan's older sister, Mu Yu. So what if I am Mu Yan? So what if I am Mu Yu? The old man shook his head and sighed, I was really fooled by your Mu family back then. Between the elder and the younger sister, there's no way to differentiate between the real and the fake. Whether you're Mu Yan or Mu Yu, I'm too lazy to guess. Killing all of you is the simplest way. Don't blame me for being ruthless, after all, I've learned from my mistakes. Cut the crap. If you want to kill me, let's see how strong you are, As soon as Muyu finished speaking, a strange aura of evolution surged from her body. Immediately, dozens of young men and women rushed over and quickly stood in front of Muyu. End of chapter. Chapter 1497. These are. The old man looked at the young men and women with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Muyu said coldly, "This is the experimental technique that the Holy Land covets. One of the experimental techniques of Shang Yuan, the Shang clan leader. Evolutionary clone. How did you get the Shang clan leader's cloning technique?" The old man was deep in thought. These young men and women were created through cloning. They had no thoughts and were just tools. The Holy Land had negotiated with the Shang clan leader many times, hoping that Shang Yuan would hand over the technique that could affect the balance of the evolved world. However, Shang Yuan refused. The Holy Land had no choice but to assassinate Shang Yuan, but the attempt failed. They never thought that there would be a second person who knew Shang Yuan's technique. "Little girl, as long as I can confirm that you're not Mu Yan, and you hand over this experimental technology to the Holy Land and promise that you won't use this technology to interfere with the balance, I can consider letting you live. What do you think of this deal?" The old man stared at Muyu. So this is the so-called Holy Lands, relying on their own strength to force others to hand over their fruits of labor, doing things like robbing others by force, yet still trying to maintain the balance, protecting the world. What a joke, compared to those petty thieves, you guys are even worse. Muyu said in disdain. Upon hearing this, the old man smiled and said, "Little girl, this world is not black and white. Maintaining the balance between the evolved world and ordinary people is not something that can be achieved by just talking about benevolence and morality. Where there is light, there will definitely be darkness." Without giving Muyu a chance to speak, the old man continued, "If we don't do anything, in the future, whether it's you or the Shang clan leader, you will use this technology to suppress the Holy Land. If you become ambitious and want to break the balance, no one will be able to stop you. The world will fall into a calamity because of you, and it will become hell. I think at that time, there will be people who will say why the Holy Land didn't take measures in time. How would you know that we are ambitious?" Muyu said. The old man sighed and a hint of helplessness appeared in his eyes. "You are right. It is precisely because we are not sure that we can only use our methods to eradicate the problem. Fine, I didn't expect you to understand. I don't know what's wrong with you today. Why did I say so much to you? It seems like you are not willing to hand over the technique. If that's the case, let's begin." The old man shook his head. In the next second, more than 10 cloned evolvers charged at the old man fearlessly. However, in less than a quarter of an hour, these evolvers were all destroyed by the old man. Muyu's face was pale. She had just been hit by the old man's palm, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. Just one palm was enough to render her defenseless, and she felt as if her internal organs had been shattered. This old man's evolutionary power was too terrifying. Furthermore, he was not a strength-type evolver. The old man's mental power was also very strong, and his heart was as strong as a steel plate. Mental control and illusions were useless against him. Muyu was proud of her experimental techniques. She was not good at fighting. She needed to return to the lab and use Wang Jingyang's new perfect body. "You can't escape." As if he could tell that Muyu was trying to escape, the old man blocked her path, not giving her a chance to escape. End of chapter. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.